Well, hello there. This is Jennifer McGuire. I hope you're having a great day. Today I'm going to show you another way to create a window card with floating stamped images, but this time I'm going to use Tulle. So my daughter and I were talking about how we used Tulle on our Christmas presents to make them like a fun bow. I was thinking it would be fun to use Tulle on a card. So I'm going to use it to hold images, kind of suspend them across the window on the front of a card. And I'll talk about some other ideas that you can do too. Okay, so I have stamped onto Strathmore Bristol smooth cardstock a bunch of new images from my favorite things. The reason I'm using the Bristol cardstock is it's nice and smooth and great for any coloring, anything but Copic markers. Today I just stamped with black ink from Hero Arts, and I'm using Tombow markers to color. Now notice how I'm doing this. I'm just adding a little bit of color with my Tombow marker. Then I am blending it out with my Wink of Stella shimmer pen. So this Wink of Stella actually helps me to blend it out, and it adds a shimmer to my coloring. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal here. So I didn't do any fancy coloring on all of these. I did what I'm showing you here. You can even go back and add some more color to it and go over it again if you want to. And I did this with a bunch of images from my favorite things. Now the nice thing about using these Tombow with the Wink of Stella shimmer pen is you can stamp a bunch and take them to go. So I stamped a bunch of these and I took them upstairs, and while I was watching some TV, I went ahead and did all of the coloring. I like that it's easy to take on the go. So you can see here how I'm doing the quick coloring. And again, I didn't go fancy here. I just wanted to add lots of color and lots of shimmer. Another fun thing you can do with these Tombows is add touches of color here and there. So you can see I'm putting down just a tiny bit of pink and then blending that into the gray so that there's rosy cheeks. Another thing you can do is scribble maybe that pink marker off to the side on a piece of the scrap paper and pick up color with the tip of the Wink of Stella and blend it in. Okay, so now that I've colored all of these, I made sure they are dry, and I'm using the coordinating dies to cut each of them out. Next, I need to create the window on the front of my card panels. So I have some 4-inch by 5.5-inch craft cardstock here, and a great die from My Favorite Things that came out a while ago. It cuts a window with some stitched lines around it. This was on my favorite things list last year. I'm using some micropore tape to hold it in place as we run this through our die cut machine. Now remember again, this is 4 inches by 5.25, a little bit smaller than my card base. Okay, so now here is my card base. It's just a top folding white note card, and I'm just going to put this center on the front of the card. I'm going to pop the die in place. Just pop it right into place of the negative space on the craft cardstock. Trace the inside of the die onto the white cardstock with your pencil. Then line that die up with those pencil marks and run that through your die cut machine. Now I have a window that lines up on the craft panel and on the cardstock. Next, I have some Tulle. This is just that really inexpensive stuff that you sometimes use for crafts, and I use it to create big bows on presents. Very inexpensive. I'm just using white here, and I'm cutting a piece that's a little bit bigger than the window on our card. If you don't have Tulle, you could use a piece of acetate here or any kind of maybe mesh fabric you have. It's fun to experiment and come up with different things. But this Tulle is super inexpensive, and again, it creates great bows on gifts. So on my note card around the window, I have put some strong double-sided tape. I'm removing the release paper from this, and I'm going to lay that piece of Tulle right down over the window. Now this Tulle you can get in silver with like glitter kind of stuck to it. I couldn't find mine. I really wanted to use that, but instead I just went with the plain kind of subtle white. Okay, so now it's time to add a sentiment to the front panel before we put it all together. I'm going to use an I Miss Your Hug sentiment. There's one in the stamp set that I used, but I decided to use that Hugs sentiment stamp set. I really like the font of that one. So I'm stamping that with Versamark ink right underneath the window, adding some white embossing powder, and I'll heat set that. Now that I have my sentiment on the front, I can go ahead and assemble this. I'm going to put some strong tape around the outside back of this piece, and I'm going to glue that onto the front of the card, lining up the windows. So now my Tulle piece is sandwiched between it quite nicely. You can kind of see it there. And now we can float on that tool piece anything that we want. Here's the trick. I have my little doggy here that I die cut and colored. And then I die cut the same dog from just some white cardstock that I'm going to put on the back side to cover it up. So I'm gluing the little dog on the front of the tool piece. Then I'm going to open it up and glue the blank white die cut right onto the back so that you don't see the adhesive on the other side and that your card won't seal shut. So now that little doggy is kind of floating on the tool there. I also added some heart die cuts. I put some hearts on the front of the tool and on the back, lining them up so that they're stay put on there. And you can see how fun it is that it's kind of floating there. Now I'm using some Nuvo drops. These are tonic Nuvo drops in the jewel type, and it's like a pinkish color or red color. And I'm adding that to the top of my little hearts just to give it a little bit of shine. I'm also using the Nuvo drops in the black, and I'm adding that to the nose and to the eyes. It gives a nice little bit of dimension and bright black to it. And I'm using a little craft knife to add little touches here and there, just to really make that shine and make the face pop. I also used that Hugs stamp set to white heat emboss a coordinating message onto the flap of an envelope. Remember, you can write your sentiment on the inside of the card below the window so it doesn't show through. If you wanted to, you could stamp in the inside or even add some coloring on the inside, but I decided to keep this pretty simple. Now I wanted to show you another example. Here I have cut my windows. I added the tool piece already onto the white note card. And this is a bigger image, so I'm going to kind of have this image peek out through the window. So I'm adding the little piece, kind of tucking it behind the window and taping it in place. And now I will glue this onto the front of the card. So now I have my little bear and doggy kind of floating there. I'm adding a foam dot behind the ear just to give it a little bit of dimension, like he's kind of hanging out from the window. And again, I'm gluing just a plain white die cut of the same shape on the inside of the card. I could have sandwiched that between if I wanted to. And there we have that fun little window. Added some hearts to this one, a sentiment from the dog and bear stamp set, and a coordinating envelope. Now, since this design works great with any kind of images, I decided to do a few more examples. This one uses a bear from that same stamp set, and I use like a soft gray on the front, and it says, hugging you with all my heart. And then I did a sentiment on the matching envelope also. I have this kind of sitting on the bottom of the window, but you can still see the tool there. Now, since I'm always needing kids' birthday cards, I decided to use this new little astronaut stamp from My Favorite Things, and I have him kind of floating there on that tool window once again. And I did lots of coloring and shimmer with this, and I white heat embossed the sentiment on both the envelope and the card. Now, these images are from another new stamp set from My Favorite Things that has a bunch of cute little farm animals. So I kept it pretty simple, have this one completely floating on the tool piece, and then I, of course, have my matching envelope. From the same farm animal stamp set, I created this adorable little cow, and I used the sentiment I miss Moo on both the card and the matching envelope. It's so cute. And probably my favorite card from the whole bunch is this one using this cat stamp set with the sentiment that says, "You're a perfect friend." Added lots of shimmer to it, and I even white heat embossed the cat on the envelope so it matched. Now in the center of each of the little flowers on her, I used some glitter tonic Nuvo drops just to give it a little bit of dimension and some extra shine. So you can see all the shine there in the final card. You can see the tool stretched across the window also. So there you have a fun way to kind of suspend some images on a window card using Tulle. I hope this inspires you to give it a try. All the products that I use are linked below in my YouTube description, but I have much more information over on my blog, including photos of all of the cards. Thanks for watching, and if you're interested in seeing more, be sure to check out these videos in the center. See you again soon.